Begin the review for the test. At the beginning of the review, it has some things that we need to make sure we remember. The angles on the inside of a triangle add up to 180. That's an important fact. Also, the big angles are across from the long sides, and small angles are always across from shortest sides. In order to have a possible triangle, the two small sides have to add up to something bigger than the length of the biggest side. You want to find possible lengths for a third side when you're only given two of the sides. Subtract the lengths of those two sides, and that'll give you a minimum. And then add the two sides together, and that'll give you a maximum. So the length will need to be between this difference and the sum of those other two sides. Isosceles triangles have two congruent sides and two congruent angles. Equilateral sides have three congruent sides, and their angles are always all 60 degrees. Median. A median is always going to cut a side into two equal pieces. So here we have side BF. C is the midpoint. C is halfway in between. Put up a little bit of perpendicular bisector. Is going to be perpendicular to a side, 90 degrees there. And that side is also going to get cut into two equal pieces. An angle bisector is going to take an angle, like angle KJL, and it's going to cut it. This angle bisector JL is going to cut angle KJI into two congruent angles. Altitude is always going to be perpendicular to a side. So it's perpendicular to OM, that's the right angle, and it also goes through the opposite corner. Alright, if we're going to list the sides and the angles in order from smallest to largest, the smallest side would be here, DF. The middle length side, the FE, and the longest side, the DE. The smallest angle would be across from the smallest side, so the angle E would be the smallest angle. FE is the middle-sized side, so the middle-sized angle would be angle D. And the largest side is 14, so angle F would end up being the largest angle. We'll start with the angles here. Angle Z is the smallest, followed by angle X, followed by angle Y. Looking at the measures, 37, then 45, then 98. In order to do the sides, the smallest angle, the smallest side will be across from it, and that is side XY. 45 degrees is the middle angle, so YZ, ZY is going to be the middle length side. Largest angle is angle Y. ZX will be the longest side. Here we need to find the measure of this angle. So 61 and 58 is 119 from 180 is 61. So that means this angle is 61 degrees. So got a little bit of a situation because we have two congruent angles. So we know the smallest angle is angle P. But here, next, we could put angle R or we could put angle Q, and they could be switched. Either one would be. Sides, the same thing would apply. The side opposite angle P, so side QR, is definitely the smallest, the shortest side. But the next two sides, PR and PQ, either one of those could go second because they are the same length. If the angles across from them are the same size, then they will be the same length. Number 4, we're asked to decide if these could be a possible triangle. So we need to make sure that the sum of the two smallest is bigger than the bigger side, and it is. However, on number 5, 1 plus 4 is not bigger than 6. 1 plus 4 is less than 6, so that won't make a triangle. The two shortest sides here are 17 and 7. When you add them together, you only get 24, and that's less than 33. So this would not make a triangle. Number 7, your two smallest is 22 and 26. When you add them together, that is also less than 65, so they won't reach. So no, it won't make a triangle. Number 8 is a little bit different order. 6 and 39 are your smaller sides, two smallest sides. 6 plus 39, that's 45. 45 is greater than 43, so this would make a triangle. On number 9, your two smallest is 7 and 45. 7 plus 45 is 52. That's less than 54. This will not make a triangle. If two of the sides are 6 and 9, what's the possible length for the third side? The third side, if we said the length of the third side was x, x could be anywhere from 9 minus 6 to 9 plus 6. So it could be between 3 and 15. Or you could just write between 3 and 15. So all we got to do is subtract them and add them. But it has to be between them. It can't be equal to. This would be between. Subtract them, you get 8. Add them, you get 16. 12. This would be between. 18 minus 9 is 9. 18 plus 9 is 27. This would be between. You subtract these, you get 5. You add these together, you get 37. We go to number 14. We look at this triangle and we see markings in the corners indicating that the angles are congruent. If all the angles are congruent, that makes this an equilateral triangle, which means all the sides will be the same length also. So if this side, if AC is 12, AB will also be 12. On number 15, we're given that the measures of these two angles are 60 each. If both of those are 60, the third one will also have to be 60 to give us that 180 degree total. If all the angles are 60, that means it's also an equilateral triangle, which means all the sides are the same length. So that means that this side is also going to be 16. 16 is the same situation. We have markings indicating that all the sides are the same length, which means it's an equilateral triangle, which means all the angles are 60 degrees. So it's asking for the measure of angle T, 60 degrees. On 17, we're told that all the sides are 5, which means it's also an equilateral triangle, which means every angle is 60 degrees. So if angle F is 60 degrees, 3x is equal to 60, x would be 20. On 18, we're only told 2 of the sides are congruent, but if those 2 sides are congruent, then the sides opposite them, if those 2 angles are congruent, then the sides opposite those angles are also congruent, which means if this side is 35, then that is equal to 35 as well. So 5x plus 5 equal to 35. Subtract 5 from both sides. Divide both sides by 5. It's 6. On 19, I have markings indicating that side BC and AC are congruent, which means the angles opposite those sides are also congruent. So angle B is 72, angle A is also 72. So 9x would be equal to 72. Divide both sides by 9, x must be 8. Number 20, we're told we have an isosceles triangle, and we have an interior angle. One of the angles of the triangle, P, measures 130 degrees. So if it's isosceles, then 2 of the angles are the same length. The 130-degree angle has got to be not a base angle. So these 2 angles are going to be congruent. And I need 50 more degrees to give me 180 total. So that means each one will need to be 25 degrees. So the measures of all 3 interior angles, W, X, Y, are 25, 25, and 130. Okay, number 21, we're told to find the value of X and the perimeter. So on this picture, we have markings indicating that the base angles are congruent, which means this is isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle, the sides opposite those base angles will also be congruent. So that means this and this are equal. X plus 6 is equal to 3x plus 2. So when I solve for x, subtract x from both sides, subtract 2 from both sides, I get 2x equals 4, which means x equals 2. So if x equals 2, 2 plus 6 is 8, and 3 times 2 plus 2 is also 8. So this side has length of 8, so does this side, and the base is 12. So x is 2, the perimeter is 8 plus 8 plus 12, 16 plus 12, which is 28. Number 22, I don't have any markings indicating anything is congruent, but I do have expressions for each of the angles. So angle A plus angle B plus angle C has to equal 180 degrees by rules of the triangle. So I replace those expressions for each one. I have a 4x minus 8 plus a 3x plus 4 plus an 8x plus 4 has to equal 180. 4x plus 3x plus 8x is 15x. Negative 8 plus 4 cancels itself out. So 15x equals 180. 180 divided by 15 gives me an x value of 12. So if x is 12, this would become 4 times 12 plus or minus 8. Which is 48 minus 8, which is 40 degrees. This would become 3 times 12 plus 4. 3 times 12 is 36, plus 4 is 40 degrees also. And 8 times 12 is 96, plus 4, 96, and 4 is 100. So if everything worked out right, those three numbers should add up to 180, and they do. So angle BAC is going to be 40 degrees. Angle ABC is also 40 degrees. And angle ACB is 100 degrees. So is the triangle isosceles? Yes. Because angle A is congruent to angle B. Identify the segment as a median, an altitude, angle bisector, or a perpendicular bisector. Angle bisector is going to cut an angle in half, okay? That's what this is doing. That's cutting the angle in half. So this is an angle bisector. Perpendicular bisector is going to cut a side in half perpendicular to that side. So it cuts that side in half perpendicular to that side. This is the perpendicular bisector. Median is the one that cuts a side in half and goes through the opposite corner. So this line segment is going to cut BF in half. This is our median, which leaves this altitude is the shortest distance, is the distance from N to line OM. Shortest distance is the perpendicular distance, that's the altitude. Go through a little bit of a review. Angle 1 and angle 4, those are vertical angles. Angle 2 and angle 6, those are both in the upper right, so those are corresponding. Angle 3 and angle 6, those are opposite sides of the transversal but on the interior, so they are alternate interior. Angle 7 and angle 2 are opposite sides of the transversal but in the exterior, so they are alternate exterior. Angle 4 and angle 6 are on the same side of the transversal and also on the interior, so they would be consecutive interior. 8 and 6, 8 and 6, those are next to each other, that would be a linear pair. Number 25, we're told the measure of angle 2 is 64. Vertical angles are congruent, so this one is also 64 degrees. The linear pair forces this to have to be 116 degrees to give me a 180 degree linear pair. And then this is also going to have to be 116 degrees. So angle 1 is 116 degrees. Angle 3 is also 116 degrees. Angle 4 is 64 degrees. So if we're going to try to find the value of x, this angle where 2x plus 5 is, there's a alternate exterior angle to 125. So these angles are all going to be congruent. These angles, 8 congruent angles. They're all 125. These angles are also congruent, but they're not 125. They are a supplement to 125, which means they have to be 65 degrees. So all the blue ones are 65 degrees. All the small ones are 65. All the big ones are 125. Okay? This is a small one. This one's blue. This one's 65. This one's also blue. It's 65. This one is big. It's going to be congruent to it, 125. So using those expressions, I can find the values of each of the variables. So for x, 125 is equal to 2x plus 5, which means 120 is equal to 2x. When I subtract 5 from both sides, divide by 2, and x is 60. Y, I messed up. 55. I wasn't doing the math in my head right. That's supposed to be 55, not 65. My apologies. That doesn't add up to 180. That's up to 190. 55 degrees. So x is still right, but now y, 11y equals 55. Divide by 11, and y would be 5. And z is also a 55 degree, there's also an expression inside a 55 degree angle. So 4z minus 5 is 55. Add 5 to both sides. 4z is 60. Divide by 4.